Hey there, fellow RC enthusiasts. Yeah, dorky. Anyways, how you doing? Just figured I'd do a video kind of updating what I'm kind of getting myself into over here and some new projects that I've completed and are working on, and hopefully ask a question to you guys that maybe you'll have an answer to that I haven't been able to figure out. First of all, if you didn't watch my last video at the piston powered show, I went ahead and got a new body for the Clod Buster here. The Jeep body that I ran on this thing ended up getting a big old crack right here. It's not out of commission, it's just, you know, a little bit ugly. I don't care about the ugly so much as function. You know, I don't want it to crack wide open. And then the Exceed body I bought for this thing, I took it out when it was like 20 degrees outside and did a nice wheelie, and it pulled, you know, hit the ground, pulled on this, and broke it in, it shattered it. So, for 13 bucks, whatever, I'm not that concerned. But I went ahead and to my local hobby shop and bought this Silverado body on it, and decided to paint it boring white, I know. But I thought the white would look really nice with the, you know, the aluminum chassis and the green shocks, and in my opinion, it came out pretty darn good. I really like the way it looks. Fits nicely, no complaints there. Plus it's a nice sturdy body. Proline makes a nice body. So there's that. As far as, you know, sprucing things up, I went ahead and did a repaint on the sand scorcher here. Not to say that the red paint didn't look okay, it did, but I just didn't feel that the red paint kind of suited it. I think this matte black really does. Plus I went ahead and painted the wheels and the aluminum, you know, the brushed aluminum look. I think that makes it look a heck of a lot cooler. I think that it looks a lot more aggressive now. I went and also painted the stinger pipe. I painted the silver, or the, you know, aluminum look or whatever, and hand painted the lights in, and I just think it came out pretty darn sweet looking. See what you think. Plus I had the opportunity on a day, it wasn't a blizzard, today's an absolute blizzard here in Ohio, to get it out. I'm running it on a 2-cell LiPo, and man, you know, even with the stock silver can, this thing is pretty darn quick. No complaints. I am considering getting the Tamiya black modified motor for it. Stick with the Tamiya theme, you know. But for now, I'm going to keep this in here and kind of just run it and see what goes on. But I really like this car. Running it is really nice. It's super smooth. It's really a nice buggy to run. So that's what I've done with this guy. I picked up another RC that I kind of wanted to get my hands on. Now, when I was a kid, I had a Bow-Link digger, and that was just a really fun RC to have. It, you know, no suspension really. It was just super fun. Getting a digger these days is not easy. If you do find them, they're in crappy shape, the tires are all torn to pieces, and getting parts for them, not the easiest thing. Now, I've got a friend through the crawler group that I run with, and this gentleman that I know, in his garage at his house, he has well over 100 RCs. And no joke, over 100. So going to his house and looking through his garage is literally like going to, you know, if you're 10 and go to Toys R Us. It's amazing. So in his garage, he had a Bow-Link Legends, which is basically the Bow-Link digger, just a little longer, and it doesn't have the cutout battery slot underneath. So I told him I wanted to buy this a couple months ago. I didn't pull the trigger, so I ended up at his house a couple weeks ago, and lo and behold, it was sitting there, and I just couldn't resist. Here it is. So this kind of poses the question, but I'll go over this little thing first. And my apologies, my furnace just kicked on, so if you hear a weird sound, it's the furnace. You know, go figure, right? So, anyways, the good thing about this is it's kind of upgraded with every upgrade this little guy can get. You know, it has the aluminum hubs, the aluminum axle in the back, the posi, it has the bearings, you know, it's all set up, so I didn't really have to get anything for it. And all the electronics that I have here, well, they were just kind of laying around my house. So I had the 12-turn, which the 550 actually fit in here. I did have to dismantle the chassis to get it in there, but look, it fits perfectly fine. And I had a Taser 12-turn ESC, 12-turn, 12-turn. Hey, seems right, you know. And an HPI controller and a Futaba servo. I actually had a little time to get this thing out, running on a 2-cell LiPo once again, and it's pretty darn quick. So, now, this is the question I have for you though. The tires it has on there are the foam covered in rubber slicks, okay? And if you'll notice on the front here, the rims are not the same. The tires are, but the rims are not. You see the holes here? No holes there. And for whatever reason, this one must be a little older because it's got little cracks in it, right? So what I would like to know, because I've looked, and I don't know what to even look for, is where can I get a set of these wheels and tires for this? That I can, you know, get a matching set without the cracks, because I really like the look. I like where it says Goodyear. I think that's cool looking. So if anybody knows where I can find a set of these or these for this, they would be most appreciated, okay? If you have any idea. So that kind of, you know, goes over the new bowling. Let me get this out of the way. Now, I met a gentleman through YouTube, ironically. He builds really nice. He sends me pictures, monster trucks. He has Clod Buster. I think he has a ground pounder looking real good. But he had some questions, and since he saw I had Clod Busters, he figured he'd ask me. We were messaging back and forth. But when you're messaging, things kind of take a while, unfortunately. So I just said, hey, why don't you just give me a call? You know, I sent him my number. He gave me a call. We talked for about an hour and a half on the phone about some of the things he needed help with, and he's a super nice guy. He goes by the name Little C. Little C, if you're watching, super nice guy. So he noticed that I was kind of into restoring vintage RC. So he sent me a picture via text of a vintage RC, and he said, you know, can you name this RC? And the first guess, not correct. The next guess, I think I got the name brand right. But he said, if you can guess it, you can have it. Well, unfortunately, I couldn't guess it, but he was gracious enough to send it to me anyway. Now, isn't that, I mean, that's a super nice guy, right? So, let me show you what he sent. This is a mid-80s Cox, which is actually a Kyosho. If you look at the bottom of the chassis here, it says Kyosho right there. I don't know if you can see that. Bandito. Actually in pretty darn good shape. It just needs a little cleanup, a little, you know, could use some bearings in the front here, which I do have. But other than that, everything, the posi works, everything seems to work, no cracks, no breaks. I mean, this should be a relatively easy restore. So I'm pretty excited about this. Lil C, man, you're a super nice guy, and I can't thank you enough. But this is not the only thing he sent me. There's this, the original box. I mean, that's pretty cool. So you got spare wheels, but these aren't spare wheels for the Bandito. What are they for? We also sent me a grasshopper to restore. It's in here. It needs a new chassis, but other than that, everything looks to be somewhat intact. You know, there's old chargers and things like that in here. You know, hey, you can't complain when somebody sends you something out of the kindness of their heart. That's fantastic. And actually being in good shape, huge bonus. So once again, Lil C, thank you very much. Okay. Now, as far as my Fox goes, it's coming along. It's actually a process. I'm down to one piece needed. I need a upper A-arm for the rear, and I was on eBay, and somebody happened to have a setter, I think a set plus one of upper and rear A-arms for a Fox, and I was bidding on it, and ironically, I mean, you would never believe it, little pieces of plastic, they sold for $127. My highest bid was $60. I wasn't going to go any higher than that. So I was a little bummed about that. But in scouring the internet, I found a guy who actually molds his own plastic Fox upper and rear, lower rear A-arms. He does it himself. He created the mold, and he's going to be sending me an invoice here when he gets a set molded for me, and I get to get a brand new set of upper and lower A-arms for my Fox. hey, you can't beat that, because he's only charging me 32 bucks. That's shipped. That's a good deal. But what did arrive is the body from the UK, and they come with a wing. And I also have stripped the chrome, the gold chrome, from the wheels. Now, let me tell you something about getting all that off. That was no treat. Getting the chrome off wasn't tough. I used Easy Off oven cleaner. That took the chrome right off. But underneath chrome, 9 times out of the 10, going onto plastic, the chrome comes off and there's a clear coat underneath that. Well, that's what's tough to get off. I used every chemical I could think of, and even some I couldn't have, thought of just by what, suggestions on the internet. Nothing worked. Nothing. So I ended up having to literally sand by hand with a soft grit sandpaper all the clear coat off these things. It's finally done. It was tedious. It took a long time, but I'm happy to say it's done. So now I can primer and paint these, because the chrome looked pretty horrible. So I got the primer and this metallic gold paint. Now I know it's not going to be as metallic as the gold chrome that came on these originally, but you know what? I think for all purposes needed, it's going to look good. I'm going to do my best to get it nice and smooth and even. So hopefully these come out really nice. I'm going to paint the body black. I don't know if I'm going to do the original stickers or not. I haven't decided what I'm going to do as far as that goes, but all in all, the chassis so far, everything is coming out really nice. Everything's in really good shape once I clean it up. I even, the original tires that were on the back, I even, let those sit in silicone, and they softened up to a really nice consistency. They were nice and hard because they were the original tires from the mid-'80s. So they actually came out really good. They're feeling good. The front tires were actually in really good shape, so I didn't have to do much with those. So all in all, the Fox is coming together nicely. Now it causes my, the man cave to be just a total mess. And this corner is just a mess of stuff. But yeah, it's worth it. I can't wait to get this thing together, and I can't wait to show it to you guys. It should come out pretty darn nice. I guess in closing, the last thing I did is I got a nice high torque servo for the trail finder for steering, and I did that so when I went to the piston powered show and we're crawling on the course, it had nice powerful steering. Well, I put that in the night before the show, and I tested the steering, and then shut it off. I'm like, good, the steering's working great. So I get to the show, pop a battery in it, go to play with it, steer to the right or left all the way, try to go for it. Nope, needs a BEC. Figures, right? Well, I already ordered the BEC. That'll be here on Monday. So that thing, it's a little out of commission right now. I refuse to pull the servo and pop the old one in when I could just pop the BEC when it gets here. So that'll be all set too. So obviously I've got a lot on my plate right now. I'm actually in the process of trying to get a couple of old cars that I'd like to get my hands on. Really what I'm trying to do is reattain a lot of the old RCs I had as a kid. Right now I'm bidding on an RC12L. I had one of those. I am trying to get my hands on a Tamiya Hotshot, a Kyosho Ultima. So, this addiction to RCs is worse than smoking, I swear to you. It's harder to quit and harder to stop than anything I can think of. Oh, now the furnace goes off. So hopefully that wasn't too bothersome. So I guess in the future here, I hope to have some new RCs here in the collection. I hope to get the ones I'm working on done real quick here. Hopefully everything comes out nicely. I appreciate everyone watching. Once again, thank you, Lil C, for the new Bandito in my collection so I can clean that up and make it all pretty again. I'll make a video of that when I get that done. I'll be working on that Grasshopper as well. So I appreciate everyone watching. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.